Hey everybody, it's Mr. Smedes, and today's video is specifically for teachers, so if you're a student, go ahead and keep scrolling or, share it with your teacher if you think they'd be interested. So to my colleagues out there in the APES teaching community, congratulations on making it through an incredibly difficult year. For most of us, we've stepped back into the classroom full time after a year and a half of what was virtual or hybrid or some crazy mixture of the two, and we just had our first complete exam cycle with a paper version only of the new APES exam format. If you're anything like I was after my first few years teaching APES, your head may be swimming a little bit right now. See, I loved APES from a content standpoint. It aligned super closely with what I was most passionate about and most interested in science, but I didn't leave those first few years feeling like I'd prepared my students as well as I could have for success on that exam in May. When I took over the course, I inherited a somewhat disorganized set of Google Drive folders with warm-ups, some really interesting but really cumbersome and bulky labs, some reading guides for Friedland First Edition, and that was about it. And the last thing that I wanted to do that summer when we finally made it through that first year of APES was start digging through all the resources online or rewriting labs and study guides from scratch for next year.
Hey, Mr. Winnick?
Summer.
But Nick, I don't know you. You do not exist.
And listen, if you're in your first few years of teaching APES or your 10th or your 15th, and next year's planning is the last thing that you want to think about right now, that is totally understandable and that is totally valid. I hope you're enjoying a well-deserved rest right now, staying cool, reading a good book, avoiding that urban heat island effect. Too soon. At any rate, there will be a time at some point this summer where you do want to start thinking about making next year an even better experience for your APES scholars, and that's why I'm so excited to let you know today that I'm going to be hosting my first APES Teacher Summer Workshop. Now, anyone in the APES community is more than welcome to join us, but we will be focusing specifically on the needs of teachers in their first few years of teaching the course, where I think that gaining a handle on valuable content and lab resources, as well as preparing students for the exam and specifically FRQ writing, is uniquely challenging. During the last week of July this year, we'll be collaborating over Zoom to go through what I found to be the 4 pillars of building a successful APES program. And because Zoom fatigue is very real, I'll be briefly presenting different concepts, different techniques, and different resources, which will be followed by some periods of discussion, and then time for you to actually apply these resources and concepts to your own classroom so that you can leave this workshop feeling like next year is going to be better than any year before. We'll start off by taking a look at how to explicitly and intentionally build classroom culture, a culture that's founded on dedication and engagement, one that's infectious around the school, expands your program and grows the number of sections you have each year, and a culture that gets students who don't even take your class to stick their head in the door and say, "What the heck's going on in here?" in a good way. Next, we'll take a look at how you can flip or supplement your instruction so that you can spend less time lecturing, more time with engaging hands-on activities like labs, case studies, and projects. Third, we'll answer the #1 question that I get when I talk about flipping instruction, which is, what do you do with all that class time that you're not lecturing? The answer is, with an engaging combination of case studies, labs, projects, and even some writing workshops, you can make class more meaningful and engaging for students, more enjoyable for you to teach, and prepare your students better for that exam in May with real-world experience and real-world scenarios that are similar to what they'll see in the FRQ section. And lastly, we'll go over specific practices that you can use in your classroom to get your students as ready for that daunting FRQ section as possible, which, if you've seen Trevor Packer's latest tweet, is one of the main reasons that APES exam scores aren't higher than they are. In short, my goal for anyone who attends this workshop is for you to leave with the resources, the practices, and the confidence to make this your best year of APES yet, and to have your students as engaged as possible and as ready for that exam as possible. Now, if this sounds like something that you might be interested, go ahead and check out that link in the video description below. And if your school would like to pay for this conference with a money order or a check or some other non-credit card form of payment, go ahead and contact me at the email that's in my video description below, and I'm happy to help you sort that out. I hope you're having a relaxing and rejuvenating start to your summer so far, and I hope that however you prepare for next school year, you find or reignite or just keep feeding that spark for teaching APES that makes it such a rewarding and unique experience.